So, we moving?
Yeah.
Instead of catching a break, the Vanderling gang almost get caught themselves, and Arthur is sent with Charles to find a new spot for a camp.
So, we're heading south?
Yeah. Area called Dewberry Creek.
On the way, the two outlaws remark about moving and Dutch's priorities.
And I know by now, there ain't no lying low.
There's too many of us for that.
And there ain't no way Dutch is gonna just hide away in a cave somewhere. Goes against everything he stands for. That'd be admitting we're nothing more than low-down criminals.
Foreshadowing.
The next camp location, however, is in fact not the next camp location, for Dewberry Creek is both far too exposed and on too soft of a ground.
Seems very open.
Yeah, it does. Ain't sure to be the best in the rain, neither.
A mostly dried-up river, is this yet another symbol of the Vanderlyn way of life running out of steam? Possibly. But what's undeniable is the detail that it's Micah's suggestion to settle here.
Micah told me of a place we can lie low. Dewberry Creek, he said.
As if to say it's Micah's recommendations that put the gang's safety at risk, that gets them more exposed. It's Micah that makes shaky their formerly firm foundation. But more on such things when I get to unpacking each individual gang member later. For now, let's see how the two men react to the German caravan that had already been attacked.
Get the hell out of
They
here!
took off Asa.
Who did?
Men, last night.
Where did they take him?
The trail leads them to another, more idyllic campsite.
This is a better camp spot than back there. Much easier to defend.
Thus, this little corner of Scarlet Meadow becomes the gang's newest place to settle, Clemens Point. It's right on the lake with a dock, one big tree, and hundreds more surrounding the area. There's plenty of fish, weather that negates the need for jackets, and a small town nearby. Pretty much everything the gang could need. I implied before that Horseshoe Overlook is the best camp for pretending things are fine, but Clemens Point is the best camp for enjoying being a part of the gang. Sadie Adler finally wears pants and starts defending the camp. Kieran is still hanging with the horses, but he's been more accepted by the rest of them, especially in the last mission where he's side by side as bold as the rest of them. This is also the time when Kane wanders into camp, adding to the site a greater sense of home and family. That and the amount of activities to do with the family are the most numerous in this chapter. Fishing, robberies, more robberies. When I first played, I remember taking my time, especially here, and while I know what I argued for in the previous chapter, I would like to nuance the position by saying that yes, the game is asking you to take your time, and I would ask for the same thing. Take your time, but allow time to pass. Sit by the fire when asked, bring in another deer, find all the animals for the camp, and stop by when people start talking. For my first playthrough, the dramatic irony of knowing the first game compelled me to explore, to enjoy the scenery and the camp culture more than I probably would have otherwise. It was like, so long as I wasn't advancing the plot, I was keeping the gang together. Missions like the New South reinforce this feeling, as you spend about 10 minutes minimum going fishing with your father figures. There's reminiscence of funny stories, embarrassment, nostalgia, songs, and laughter. And then, the mission ends with the harsh truth.
I think we're gonna be okay.
As tranquil as the times may appear, there's still that deeply nestled worm in Dutch's heart. The ego that will drive others away if it doesn't cut them off first. Despite Sadie coming into her own and Kieran becoming more accepted and even Swanson's hair being combed, there's still other gang members who suffer more here than they did the last camp. Lenny and Tilly, both being black, have to remind Arthur about where they're at and how uniquely dangerous it is for them to be in Deep South small town.
But I haven't necessarily noticed.
All respect, Mr. Morgan. You wouldn't notice. Might call you a lover. They see us riding like this.
What we doing so far south, Arthur? I don't like it.
Seems as good a place as any to get chased by the law, Miss Tilly.
You ain't so dumb as that, Arthur. I'm a Negro.
I know. I'll keep you safe, Miss Tilly.
And then there's Molly.
For the love of God, what's wrong now? You think this is the way to your affection? Worse than that, over you. All I can do is worse than that. Gladly.
So long as Dutch or his tent isn't being used as a mission starting point, the two lovers will perpetually argue the same one of three exchanges every time you load in. Hey Rockstar, was it out of the budget to just add 3 more exchanges? This is so annoying it makes me want to finish the chapter. unless that was the point. The real point is Clemens Point, a place even further from Blackwater, a soft reminder that despite the peace, things are heating up. Literally.
Of course I'm sweating.
The name of this near-perfect campsite comes from Samuel Clemens, the real name of Mark Twain, and it wouldn't be right to ignore this connection as there are several more connections specific to Chapter 3 from Twain's two most iconic novels, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and its sequel, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. For the former, there's this not-so-random encounter at the First Church of Rhodes where the Reverend gives a eulogy for a man whom no one showed up for.
Oh, Father, what do we say about a man who lost his way so awfully? He carried that awful war with him, rustling horses with a misguided gang of killers.
Now, who does that specifically sound like?
It's me!
Tom Sawyer, perhaps best known for painting a fence white, is also famous for showing up to his own funeral. And given the specificity of rustling horses with a band of killers, it's clear that the point of this event is for Arthur to do the same and be eulogized before his very eyes.
Foreshadowing.
In Huckleberry Finn, the adventure goes along the Mississippi River, which the Lannahechee River is based on. And side note, regarding huckleberries, as in the actual fruit, Rhodes is the area where you're first likely to find them. But most notable is that in the book, Huckleberry encounters a pair of feuding, affluent Southern families.
Ah, that reminds me.
No, it gets better. There's also star-crossed lovers between the two families.
You serious?
Well, yes, I am.
While the Dutch Vanderlyn gang may have been the plague on both of their houses, the Greys and the Braithwaites aren't just the Montagues and Capulets. They're the Shepherdsons and the Grangerfords. Another adventure for these lawless runaways to engage with. Speaking of whom, that is the final unique connection between the book and the game. Huck Finn and Dutch Vanderlyn. In ideology, Huck Finn is just an underdeveloped version of Dutch. They both harbor a justified hatred of being civilized, to be told what to do and how to be by people who enslave others with their rules and norms. It's the restrictions, the hypocrisy.
Rest a little easier knowing church has been taking more than they need off poor folks since time began.
How could the civilized Christians be so good when they want to capture Jim, someone who only spurs positive thoughts for Finn? Better for Huck to go to hell than to live by the rules of a society with its own corrupted morals.
It's always so damn troublesome doing right, so damn easy doing wrong, that I decided from now on, I'm just gonna do whatever come handiest.
Likewise, it's better in Dutch's mind to live on the run in tents than it is to be crushed by the industrial civilized world.
Ain't no such thing as civilized. It's man, so in love with greed, he has forgotten himself and found only appetites.
After the mountains, Horseshoe Overlook acted as a rest stop, whereas Clemens Point served as a return to form. What the Vanderlyn gang does in Chapter 3 represents what they've been doing for years all around the country. Settle in somewhere secluded, but close to regular people. Avoid the law, do some scores, enjoy life, do some more scores, get caught, run away, repeat. Do this enough times, there won't be a gang left. And that's exactly what happens. As a final note, let us consider how the gang came about this location. Arthur and Charles track the trail of a crew of kidnappers which leads them to a hostage named Andreas, who turns out to be in the gold mining business.
Those men back there, why did they take you?
Geld. Money. Meiner Familie gehört eine Goldmine. Sie wollen Lösegeld erpressen.
As a Dankeschön for rescuing him, Andreas hands Arthur a gold bar, which, by the way, is the only gold the gang gets from Chapter 3, not from robbing both of these families, but by restoring this one. Note that the men who kidnapped Andreas did so for the same reasons the gang went after the Greys and the Braithwaites. They've got gold. And because of that, the gang is no different than the previous occupants of Clemens Point.